What it do, Niner gang? Welcome into the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I am your host, Chase Sr. Give me a follow on Twitter and Instagram at Chase_Sr. Today's show presented to you by our friends at Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com/49ers and you get 20% off plus free shipping on the best men's grooming products. Let's get into the latest 49ers news and rumors, and we start with this. It's a simple question, and it's one that I think has a lot of validity. Is George Kittle the best tight end in the National Football League? Light the candlestick for Shanahats, because I believe this is absolutely true. ESPN released surveys coming from executives, coaches, scouts, and players to rank the top 10 players at each position, all 11 of them, on the football field. And what do you know? George Kittle of your Niners taking down Travis Kelce, for the top tight end spot in the National Football League. Now, George Kittle limited to 8 games last year because of those injuries, but I think after seeing him work out this offseason, he is primed to have a monster year in 2021, regardless of who his quarterback is, whether that be Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance. Those top tight ends, according to ESPN and that survey: George Kittle atop the list at number 1, Travis Kelce of the Chiefs at number 2, Darren Waller of the Raiders at 3, Mark Andrews of the Ravens at 4, TJ Hawkinson of the Lions at 5, and then this list rounds out with Dallas Goedert of the Eagles at 6, Hunter Henry at 7, Evan Ingram at 8, Jonnu Smith at number 9, and Zach Ertz at number 10 coming off that down season. Let's compare Kittle and Travis Kelce. Very similar players. Their numbers last year, though, not similar. That's because George Kittle was hampered by a lot of injuries, only played 8 games in 2020. 63 targets, 48 receptions, still in those 8 games, playing half of the season, 634 yards, average yards per catch north of 13, and he reeled in 2 touchdowns. Travis Kelce, on the other hand, played 15 games, and he was getting buzz as a potential MVP candidate. He was fabulous. 145 targets, 105 receptions. He compiled more than 1,400 yards receiving, 13.5 yards per catch, and 11 touchdowns, which is very rare for a tight end, but he was lighting it up with Patrick Mahomes. So ESPN, they pulled all those executives, coaches, league people all around the National Football League, and they came to the consensus: George Kittle, the number 1 tight end in the league, ahead of Travis Kelce. Who do you think's the better tight end, though? Type GK for George Kittle. Type TK for Travis Kelce. Get those votes in the comment section. Here's what an AFC scout had to say about George Kittle. He moves after the catch better than anyone. He's the toughest on the list, the best blocker, and he can catch 100 passes in the right offense, which I think he's in the right offense right now with Kyle Shanahan. An anonymous offensive player had this to say on top of that about Kittle: Kelce beats people up with routes. Kittle doesn't. But he is just so strong and fast that he wins that way. I'll tell you this. We didn't get to see George Kittle enough in the 2020 season, and that was really the story for the entire Niners team last year because injuries just crushed this team. Going into 2021, with how well he looks moving with his workouts, I cannot wait to watch George Kittle this year. In 8 games last year, his production was pretty stupid. If he's able to play all 17 games this year, I think he can put up numbers very similar to what Travis Kelce did last year with the Chiefs en route to that Super Bowl. So I cannot wait to watch George Kittle ball out in this offense under Kyle Shanahan. And really, we've seen the production there ever since he was drafted in 2017 out of Iowa. Rookie year got off to a good start with 43 receptions. Then next year, he doubles his production to 88 catches for almost 1,400 yards. In 2019, that Super Bowl year, he really burst on the scene because he put together back-to-back marvelous seasons of 1,000-plus yards and solidified himself as one of the best tight ends in the league. And even though he only played half the season last year, that was still enough to be ranked the number 1 tight end in the NFL, according to this poll from ESPN. He's going to play a huge role in this offense in 2021, and if he's healthy, I expect him to produce. I think he's the best tight end in the league. That's why I gave this 4 Shanahats. I think he's better than Travis Kelce. If you think George Kittle is the best tight end in the league right now, hit that thumbs up icon and like this video. Can you build a core that leans on Kittle, Bosa, and Trey Lance 3 Shanahats. And this is really good news for the Niners moving forward because they have a young core that's going to be on this roster for a little while, and it's packed, this roster is, with generational type players, all Pro Bowl players who, hey, in Trey Lance's standpoint, he's affordable right now. George Kittle got paid. Nick Bosa figures to get paid as well. But this Niners core is very, very talented, and this nucleus is going to be together for a little while. That's why I'm so high on this franchise for the next several years, because I think if they're all on the field and healthy, they're going to be able to compete for Super Bowls. Pro Football Focus on Trey Lance had this to say, because, hey, that's high praise with him being a huge player in this team for this upcoming year and a guy you can build around. Lance's combination of rare physical tools and intelligence bodes well for his future in Kyle Shanahan's offense, even if the accuracy isn't fully there yet. It also helps that Lance will have one of the few true difference makers at tight end at his disposal as he makes the transition into a starting role. Pro Football Focus on Kittle. Kittle is capable of winning as a receiver from any alignment and adding value as an inline blocker. He's the highest graded tight end in the league since 2018. His grade last year, 93.4, rather, since he came into the league. And then Pro Football Focus had this to say about Warner, because how is Warner not on this list? That speaks to the talent that the Niners have been able to compile. The decision over whether to include Bosa or Fred Warner next was a difficult one, but Bosa's dominance at the edge defender position as a rookie is certainly hard to ignore. And I actually think, hey, you got Fred Warner, you got Nick Bosa. Who's the more valuable player on this defense? You can make the argument maybe it's Fred Warner, but at the end of the day, as we boil this down, they are both very, very good players and both very valuable to DeMeco Ryans' defense. So some might say that the trio of Trey Lance, George Kittle, as well as Nick Bosa are the perfect package. Speaking of perfect packages, you can get the perfect package from Manscaped. You go to manscaped.com/49ers. You get 20% off and free shipping on the best men's grooming products, including the perfect package from Manscaped. The bang for your buck that you get here is phenomenal. $88, ball toner, ball deodorant, the brand new Lawnmower 4.0 with 4 interchangeable blades, a battery life that lasts forever. You can use it on your hair, your chest, your back, as well as downstairs as well. Once again, $87.99 for the perfect package. That's manscaped.com/49ers for 20% off and free shipping on the best men's grooming products from our friends at Manscaped. That link is in the description as well as the comment section of this video. Let's get to the latest on Richard Sherman because more details are surfacing. We heard the audio from the 911 call that was released, that call coming in from Richard Sherman's wife, and we are just getting brand new news in as we record this on our live show. The judge noted that Sherman has never been in trouble with the law before and has a long track record of working in his community. The judge did say, I see Mr. Sherman as a pillar in this community. He's a business owner. He's a husband. He's a father. I am going to release Richard Sherman. So it seems as though Richard Sherman has been released with no bail. That is the newest update that we were getting in up to the minute as we record our live show right here on the 49ers Report. And producer Sam is getting some things together. But Richard Sherman released with no bail after he was arrested on Wednesday. There was a car crash. He tried to break into a family member's home. There was a 911 call from his wife, Ashley Sherman, into authorities. Here's actually what she had to say during that 911 call. She was very panicked if you listen to that audio. Honestly, I don't think the 911 operator handled the situation all that well because Ashley was obviously under distress. She did say this, though, I need officers to my house right now. My husband is drunk and belligerent and threatened to kill himself. I'll tell you this, I've dealt with some mental health issues in the past when my mom passed away. I'm sure a lot of you watching have dealt with mental health issues. This is very, very concerning if this is in fact true. And if it is true, I hope that Richard Sherman is able to go out there and get as much help and therapy as he needs. A lot of people, especially football players with that masculinity, like to keep their mental health under wraps. But if he's struggling right now, I hope that he reaches out to some of his friends, he reaches out to some of his family members, and he's able to get that support from those people. Because where does this come from? Richard Sherman went to Stanford. He's a great businessman. He's a future Hall of Famer, a multi-time All-Pro, a perennial Pro Bowl player. He was fantastic in 2019, and he's always been looked at as a great leader, a pillar in his community, like the judge said, which is why the judge released him with no bail. So I was very surprised that this happened, and it kind of came out of nowhere for all of us. Speaking of Richard Sherman getting help, he's going to get it from the 49ers, according to John Lynch. This is what he had to say on Thursday. 49ers will be a resource for them. He's talking about Richard Sherman and Ashley Sherman. More than anything, just praying for them. They're good people, just praying that they find their way through this, and we'll support them any way we can. That's why John Lynch is a class act. That's why he's respected across the league. And whether Richard Sherman goes back to the Niners or not, it's good to know that the Niners, where Richard Sherman played very well for a couple of seasons, they have his support. So looking forward, do you think Sherman is going to play this season in 2021? Predict it for us. Type P for play. Type W for won't play. Get those votes in down below. Last rumor we want to hit. Should the Niners sign former Niner, who was a wide receiver at the time, now a tight end, Jordan Matthews, only given this one Shanahan? This guy hasn't produced consistently for a long time, only played in 2 games with the Niners last year. I think it's impressive that he's trying to make the position switch to kind of continue his NFL career. And where does this come from? So Teron Davenport had reported about a month ago that Jordan Matthews had added 30 pounds of bulk. He's up to 230 plus pounds. He was trying to make the switch from wide receiver to tight end to continue his NFL career. And he's working out for teams as a tight end. Are the Niners going to be one of those teams that are involved? We will see. If they are, we'll pass along that information to you. While we're talking about it, though, they could use a backup tight end behind George Kittle, and Jordan Matthews has been working out with George Kittle this offseason. Matthews, since being a second-round pick out of Vanderbilt several years ago from the Philadelphia Eagles, got off to a good start in his NFL career, and the production was certainly there. Throughout 7 seasons, 274 receptions, more than 3,000 yards, the average yards per catch just okay, 22 touchdowns. But Jordan Matthews has shown in his career he can be a productive player. And he's always been an okay athlete for a wide receiver. Does he become a better athlete at the tight end spot? We'll see. I do respect the grind, though, because it's not easy in the span of a couple months to just go out there and add 30 pounds of muscle to your body and really learn an entirely new position. Now, Jordan Matthews has played a lot of slot receiver throughout his career, so going from slot to tight end isn't a massive jump, but you got to block. It's a big reason why people don't think Tim Tebow is going to make the Jacksonville Jaguars, because you got to block guys off the edge like Nick Bosa. But Jordan Matthews has always been known as a grinder. Going back to his days with the Eagles, he'd be a guy in practice, he'd catch a ball, and he'd run full dead sprint to the end zone, and people are like, Jordan, why are you practicing like this? He's like, because I got to practice this way so that I'm ready for the games. So Jordan Matthews has always been a grinder. And if he does go back to the Niners, I think it'd be a pretty good story. It looked as though his NFL career was coming to a close. He sees that there's some light at the end of the tunnel, but he also sees that door is, kind of slowly closing. So he's trying to do whatever he can to extend his career as a player. Niner gang, let me pose this question for you. Should the Niners sign Jordan Matthews? Pretty easy, clean-cut question. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Be sure to get those votes in the comment section.